Hi, my name is Cassandra, and this is the third segment in our video about male infertility. This segment's going to cover embarrassment and some of the embarrassment surrounding male infertility. This can be the embarrassment that the person with male infertility actually has, and it's also going to deal with maybe why someone that has infertility isn't discussing that with you and sharing their personal story. So this is just going to give you a better way to understand where they're coming from. One of the reasons that embarrassment can come along with male infertility is due to the fact that there's like a negative association with not being able to conceive a child of your own. Our society has kind of made men feel like they're less of a man if they're unable to have a child of their own, and this simply isn't true, and to experience that emotion is definitely normal, but it can be embarrassing as a man to not be able to successfully have a child of your own, a biological child. There are limited treatment options available to men with infertility. While we've come a long way with science, the options are still limited. If you're experiencing difficulty with your insurance company and having a problem with them covering certain procedures and treatments that you need, please be sure to make a personal phone call to them and explain what's going on. They are your advocate, they're there to help you, and a lot of times there's options available that weren't originally presented to you in your benefits package. So please take advantage of calling them and getting someone on the phone that can actually answer your questions. People that are suffering with male infertility have embarrassment can be due to the fact that a lot of the options involve using donor sperm or adoption. That can be difficult. Sometimes people will feel like they're not going to be able to love the child, or they're not going to be able to welcome them into their home or have a strong relationship with them. Know that you're simply not alone in those feelings. If you weren't having those feelings, that would be, concerning. But the fact that you're having those and you're thinking that through and knowing that that's a possibility, you're surely on the right track. There's lots of great counselors and things like that available. We'll provide some links to those resources for you to talk with about that. So, if someone's going through that, know that there are resources and you can help them with this video. Please feel free to show it to them and let them know about that. But certainly that's one thing that can lead to embarrassment around the male infertility. In conclusion to this segment, I just want to reassure you that there's no need to feel embarrassed or ashamed about male infertility. Please have patience with yourself as you go through this journey and you try to decide what's right for you and for your family. Have patience with your partner and just know that you're not alone. You're not the only one. In our next segment, we're going to talk to you a little bit about relationships and how male infertility can change that dynamic and how it can make it difficult. So please be sure to watch that one as well. It may be helpful for you.
So, it's impossible to address my story without talking about the weird questions that pop in your head, or the weird questions that you think other people are going to ask you about what the deal is with you and a child from somebody else. One of my favorites, of course, is, does the child look like you? Does the child act like you? As if genetics are the only determining factor in that, which anybody with adopted children will tell you that's clearly not true. But it is, it's difficult. You don't really know much. I did a fair amount of research going into this. But there were questions, of course, that I had to ask myself about, whether it would be okay, whether I would act the same as a father, as a genetic father, as opposed to just being a father as a role. But my own personal experience, I've had a number of step-parents who I've loved very much and have loved me very much. And at a certain point in your life, you do realize that blood is not necessarily the only thing that really matters. I think there is something about choice. I think there is a power in choosing a relationship. So choosing to be a father is, I don't know, in a way, it makes it more important. It's not just some biological trick, it's something that I do every day. It's a choice that I make every day. And I don't regret it at all. It's wonderful. Going through this process, and besides that, other questions that come up, of course, one is, will you tell your child? I will. That's not necessarily defining everybody's choice, but my feeling is that honesty is always the best policy. Um, Basically, I'll probably wait until we start talking about where babies come from and sex, and at that point, we'll have that conversation. Um, but it doesn't really make me uncomfortable. Um, I know my role. I know where I stand in my child's relationship. I know that I love him, and I'm so happy that I've gone through this process and that I'm a father.